I'm going to do this in two ways, and I'm going to do it at the same time, but I'm going to hopefully explain to you the extra tips and tricks that I'm using on this right hand side one. Wetting the front. Oh, by the way, I'll just paint. I'm explaining perhaps the colours as I go. So I just used red, which is warm red, out of my palette, and a little bit of the warm yellow to make this colour. Then for the back, for this side, again I'm wetting it, both of them. And I'm just going to go straight into, oopsie, the burnt sienna that I have in this palette. It's a little bit heavy on the pink side, this burnt sienna, but what it means, well, pink as in burgundy, I guess. But for me, it means if I wanted it to be more orange, what could I add? Well, I'd go in for the warm yellow and just add that in and rub it in together, like mixing it in a pot, really. Same with this one, a little bit of warm yellow. And with this one, I'm purposefully doing a few different things. Now I can see that is not dark enough, so I'm just going to wait for that to dry a little bit. I'm going to add in a little bit more burnt sienna. And continually adding the colour. I just want it to be quite soft at this stage too. Now I'm purposefully not wetting this bottom section. Now I'm just going to place in a little bit of sky here, background. Because I want you to understand that this is open, so we are seeing that blue sky behind. I'm just going to use my phthalo blue. I don't want a lot. For this one, I'm going to use a little bit of the ultramarine blue. Now my return walls, I'm just going to stick with the same terracotta-y colour, which pretty much, and I'll add in a little bit of that warm red as well, that real orangey red. Oopsie, forgot to wet it first. Doesn't matter. And this is when I'm kind of using wet on dry here anyway, because I want it to sort of stay inside the lines. But that's okay. When this happens, you'll see here it's bleeding out into my sky. Take a completely dry brush and press really hard. And what you're doing is you're literally drying the paper where it keeps running into. The paint will always run into a damp area, so I'm trying to dry it off a bit, or you can dab it with tissue paper. So to be the same, I'll do the same on this one, the burnt sienna, the red. Now I'll just keep going down here. Now I'm going to do something here that I'm not going to do in the other picture. Because this is part of what I want you to understand with your watercolor painting. Here I've mixed up a combination of the red, the burnt sienna, and ultramarine blue. I'm going to have a smaller brush here. Just dip the smaller brush in the water. Poke it into those corners. Now I'm with the clean wet brush, I'm wetting all this area here that's throwing the shadow. Back to my normal round brush and back into that colour, that nice colour. Add a little bit, maybe more ultramarine. More and more ultramarine blue I'm getting into here. And using that French ultramarine blue and adding it to the burnt sienna, but not very much burnt sienna, so there's a lot of ultramarine in there. I'm going back in because this area here is, is the shadowed area. Oopsie, that's not good. Make that a bit thicker then. maybe even pop that a bit in there. Just going to go with the plain French ultramarine now on the shade side of both. To show that it's white. And I think I'll put a little bit of perhaps red. And with my tree, I'm going to add water. Use purple and burnt sienna and make this beautiful wine ruby colour. Actually, I'll do that in both. Oh, now my hand goes off. It's okay. So, overview of both. The one on the left has been painted with too much caution. It's too neat. And again, this is generally in comparison, not that there's anything wrong with that. But this comes from a lack of experience and a lack of confidence, to be careful, to need more control. Remember, the joy of watercolour is allowing the water in the paper and the water on the brush to do its own thing. Besides that, we've got less tonal contrast, so less range between our lightest lights and our darkest darks. You can see here I purposefully barely put anything on the front, and it immediately gives you a sense of more sunshine on the facade. So just be aware that if you go extra dark, remember I've said this before, it will dry a little softer. You don't have to be worried about it looking really heavy, and you can always re-wet it, take the colour out. Less colour confidence. What I mean by that is, even though I've used really lovely mixes of colour, and I've used vibrant colour as well as rich shadows, there's less variation in the colour, and things don't have to be the same colour. Remember we talked about that in the Greek scene, changing the colour in the shadow from the top to the bottom. Also colour confidence, I stuck with a very neutral grey shadow, which again, nothing wrong with it, but if you put more richness into your shadows, you get more personality coming into your artwork. I guess the last general thing is, overall I used less water both on the paper and in my brush on this one. I used a lot more water in this one. So I gave up more control and I let the paper, the water, basically do its own thing. So I hope you might want to go back. Sorry, I don't have time to timestamp these things, but if you can go back and look at where those differences were happening when I painted, that might be a help to you as well. I hope overall that this hasn't been too complex and that you've enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if it's been helpful or if you need to know something else. What I thought I might do just quickly at the beginning of the next lesson is do what this one has, which has the lovely character-filled line work over the top, and I might do the line work on top of this one. Yeah, okay. Thank you for your patience. I know I was a day late with getting this to you, and I'm going to get my act together and film an extra one on this weekend, so I'm one ahead. Okay, I won't let you down again. I appreciate everyone. Thank you. Bye.